Dude, real quick before we start, man, it's hanged, not hung. Hung has a very different meaning than hanged.
I'm Arizona Family political editor Dennis Welch.
Dennis, fake news Welch. Try to tell the truth.
And this is the Politics Unplugged Podcast.
Dennis, if you have a problem with substance abuse, I am more than willing to talk to you anytime you need.
Welcome back to another week of the Politics Unplugged podcast. Today I'm joined by Democratic consultant Adam Kinsey. Adam, hell of a week, man. Hell of a past couple of weeks when you start thinking about it, and wanted to bring you on and talk about where you get the Dem perspective on things happening both nationally and here locally.
Lots going on, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, lots going on today. Where do you start? I mean, I've spent all week, on Epstein watch. I'm so done. And I'm so over it.
And it's just starting.
Yeah, I know.
I hear you.
I know. But, I kind of just want to jump into the middle because do we have to go back? And for people who are listening to this podcast, I don't know, Colin, can you make a ruling here? Do we have to go back from and give all the context, or could we just jump into the middle of this thing?
I think you can probably pretty well jump in.
Okay.
I think we know what got us here.
I just don't want to go through it all again. Not one more time. I just want to start, get your take on this. You're a Democrat. You're looking at this. I mean, my initial thought is I think Trump may have dropped the ball on this one, the way they handled his people, because this is clearly something he did not want to pass. He signed. He didn't want to talk about, but it seemed like for the past few months, with every step, every turn of this story, the only thing that happened was it raised the profile on this story.
Right.
And now it is, apparently it has cost him political allies at this point. And now, I don't know if you had this on your early bingo card heading into 2025. I didn't see the president, most powerful man in the world, lose a legislative fight to a little-known congressman named Thomas Massie.
Hey, give Lauren Boebert some credit there too.
And Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of them,
it's uncharted waters for Trump. He operates under the pretense that he will win every fight. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to plan for the fallout because there's no fallout. He will win every fight. And when you have a stranglehold over all three parts of the government, all three branches of the government, mm-hmm. And you haven't really been handed a big loss, there's a reason that he operates that way. So he has been the eternal optimist on Epstein, mm-hmm. and just thinks, we're going to be able to get past it. We're going to be able to stonewall. And what we have seen we've seen some chinks in the armor right now. And what we have is these there's been a lot this week that Trump has seen sort of his stranglehold is loosening a little bit, and no more so than those four Republicans sticking their necks out and forcing the rest of the caucus and Trump to do a 180 on this. So he never really planned for the full release of the files. He never thought we would be in this position, so he didn't really have a plan for it. And mm-hmm. It's evident now that he didn't have a plan for it, and they're really trying to sort of assemble the plane on the runway. And it's, along with a couple of other losses this week, you're really starting to see what is an effect, the lame duck effect already, even before the midterms have taken place.
Yeah, for people who aren't familiar with the actual legislation that the president ended up signing, what it does, it directs the attorney general to make the files public in a searchable and downloadable form within 30 days of when the president signed that piece of legislation.
Which is something that he could have done without legislation at any time.
Exactly. But my point I bring this up is also in that legislation is you see, and there are a lot of loopholes. There is a lot in there that could block a lot of information that people think they're going to be getting next month, but they're not going to be getting it, correct?
Correct. And that's going to be difficult for Trump to spin. I think he'll probably try to hide behind, DOJ rules, and this is not how it's done. But the problem with getting your base excited about the release of the Epstein files for the better part of 5 years is that when you are in the position to actually do it and don't, for whatever reason, they're not going to be happy. And as these 4 Republicans that now turned into the entire Republican caucus, and the senators who refused to end the filibuster, and these other little fights, the redistricting fight in Indiana and in Trump is not getting everybody to say how high when he says jump, and this is again unfamiliar territory for him, and we're seeing it sort of spread throughout the executive branch, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better for Trump.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be watching very closely what the reaction is, when those documents are released, because I just can't for the life of me see that this administration is going to release a single page of information that this administration does not want public, unless there is gross incompetence.
Well,
which,
so you're saying there's a chance? Yeah, and granted, you make a great point, but granted, let's say that nothing. Let's say that every single document is redacted 100%, and we just get a whole bunch of black lines. There has still been enough released. The emails from Epstein himself that have been authenticated. There is enough information already in the public sphere that is really damaging for Trump. That I don't think he gets out of this unscathed. I think his legacy is permanently tarnished, whatever legacy that might be. But I think the juice that he has to help others get elected, I think that is the big problem for Republicans overall. And again, this is why Republicans are looking for life rafts right now, because they are planning for a post-Trump world that Trump doesn't care about. Trump does not care about post-Trump world. When he's done, he's done.
Yeah. And let me ask you, too, because you've seen some of the polls. I mean, I think now his approval rating is as low as it's ever been, 38%, I think, 30 CNN poll or something like that.
Yep.
Now, you have one of the better, if not one of the best data guys in the state that you work with. Are we already seeing the fallout from the Epstein drama, or is that yet to come? Has that not yet been reflected in the polling?
We can see it in polling and in focus groups, and I think as we look over data, focus groups are on issues like this, I would say, a better indicator than actual polling. And what I have seen from people in focus groups is this really takes partisan politics out of it. This cuts him deeply with Republicans and with independents. And maybe those hardcore Republicans aren't going to vote Democratic, but they're sure as hell going to stay home if they don't have faith in this guy that was going to be the one who drained the swamp and broke up the pedophile ring and all that. If there's no there, they might stay home, and that's a problem. But also the independents and some of the voters that Democrats were counting on in sort of in the middle, they are very unhappy with what they got. There's a lot of buyer's remorse there, and that's going to have a devastating impact on Republicans at large.
Yeah, and I saw another poll too on the generic ballot, right? Just an R versus D, and I believe the Democrats was plus 14.
Yeah, was
massive, crazy. Take us behind the scenes, for people who aren't familiar with this. You've worked for county parties, you've worked on campaigns and whatnot. This helps, I would think, Democrats, because it helps with recruiting, because you need good candidates. And candidates matter. We have seen that, particularly in Arizona on the statewide races. Candidates really freaking matter. And if you got some good candidates out there that are on the fence about whether they want to, put their reputation on the line out there, they see stuff like that and they're like, okay, maybe I jump in. Am I correct in that, or am I wrong?
You're absolutely correct in that. And in 2016, we didn't have to do, as a party, much recruiting at all because everybody came out to run for office.
Mhm.
Everybody and their brother came out and said, I can't deal with this. I need to do something. And they ran for school board, Congress, whatever. And we saw a huge influx. We did not see that this last year. After Trump's reelection, or Trump's second election, rather, we were, as Democrats, on the mat. And we didn't have a lot of juice. We didn't have a lot of wind at our backs. And the brand was absolutely in the toilet. And the brand is not fully recovered, frankly, but comparatively speaking, we're in a much better position. So,
well,
anyway,
you're in a much better position today than
Today
you were
than-
just 4 weeks ago.
That's right. That's right. And so while we didn't see the influx of those folks clamoring to run for office like we had hoped earlier, we're starting to see it now. And we're starting to see a lot more activity. And, some folks that are thinking about running in 26, that might have been on the fence are kind of kicking tires now. And so there's a lot more movement and a lot more activity in that regard.
Yeah, and another piece, that's gone well for the Democrat Party. Let's talk about redistricting, and this is, this could really, really, really blow up in the face of Trump and the White House. They went into the year hoping to get certain states to redraw their maps, like Texas, Indiana, some other places, to increase the number of Republican districts so they could keep control of the House. But that seems like it might not be happening because a court ruling this week told Texas you can't do that. That's racial gerrymandering, and that's unconstitutional. Now that ruling is being appealed.
Sure.
In Indiana, they wanted the lawmakers there to do something to tilt their congressional maps in favor of Republicans. They're backing away from that. Meanwhile, Prop 50 in California, which increases the number of Republican seats by 5, because this was a direct response to what Texas was doing, is going to be allowed to move forward. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, and in Texas, the 2-to-1 court opinion was authored by a judge who was appointed by that staunch liberal president, Donald J. Trump. Ultimately, the Supreme Court might be the final, decider, and we know they have a little bit of a lean themselves.
And they've also got a deadline coming up because Texas.
They do. They have an early primary.
December 8th, the day after the day that will live in infamy. Congressional candidates have to announce whatnot. So
very early primary. So the time is certainly a factor, and also the talk on the ground. If you talk to folks in Texas politics, some of those districts that they, especially along the border, that they were really counting on to be deeply red, may not be as solidly red as once thought. Mm-hmm. Some of the coalition of Trump voters the second time around might be breaking with him over a lot of reasons. Breaking up families certainly is a consideration, especially in border communities, but also Epstein, that's not helping. So Texas, even if the Texas ruling gets overturned and the new lines are there, instead of getting, 6 or 7 Republican seats, maybe it's only 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Then you go to Indiana, which is really, really fascinating. So in Indiana, you've got a governor who is doing whatever Trump wants, but you've got Republican state senators who are refusing to change the rules midway through the game. And again, this goes back to that thing that I mentioned earlier about a lot of Republicans are planning for the post-Trump world. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do something that is so devastatingly unpopular as changing the rules, and so they're having a hard time. So Trump is calling on the governor to do everything within his power, up to and including sending the sheriffs out to go and find these senators. And then in California, the California law was actually written so the very issues that Texas had. And the reason why the court ruled the Texas redistricting lines unconstitutional were directly and proactively addressed in Prop 50 in California. So there's no way, theoretically, that the same logic that is making Texas new lines illegal will have any impact on California. So you're right. We could have, Trump was trying to put his thumb on the scale, and 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 make sure that he can control Congress, he might end up screwing up so badly that Democrats, yield a couple more seats out of it because of redistricting.
You also think that maybe in Indiana with the Senate that the old Vice President Mike Pence might be working some levers behind the doors there. Pence was the governor of Indiana, was a congressman from Indiana. I mean, he may know a few people there still.
He might. I saw him and Dan Quayle the other day in the same room together that President Trump and Vice President Vance were not in for Vice President Cheney's funeral. Yeah, I mean, Indiana seems like they have not necessarily a lockstep political body behind Trump.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you look at like from a month ago when everybody was still talking about, Democrats hadn't found a message. We're just kind of flailing out there. Who's going to be this, that? It seems that Democrats have built up a little bit of momentum. So I have to ask, how are you going to screw this up?
It's a great question.
Because Democrats always seem to screw this up.
Between you and me, as I speak into a microphone, up until about a month ago, I was a little bit bearish on the idea that we're absolutely 100% going to retake Congress.
Yeah.
I was saying this is, we're using historic evidence and conventional wisdom to, unilaterally declare that we're taking back the House, and I was a little skeptical of that. I've moved a little bit in the last 4 days in particular, right? So, I think the Democrats still need to make sure that we are articulating a message of what we would do. We cannot only be the party of not Trump. Mm-hmm. We have to be talking about these affordability issues. We have to be talking about a return to decency and normalcy. But at the same time, that message doesn't resonate that well. When we as Democrats run on, we've got to save small d democracy, voters didn't care. Mm-hmm. Voters absolutely did not care because small d democracy and those institutions that we were supporting didn't really work for a lot of working class voters. So we need to not lose sight of that. We need to make sure that those voters are still first and foremost in our minds and in our message.
Yeah, but and maybe I'm a bit of a cynic, but I just see, particularly in Arizona, the Democrats just always screw so many things up year after year after year. I mean, how many times have we've been in the arena for long enough? I mean, how many times have we heard that the Democrats, this is the year they take the legislature, and they just always fall miserably short, right? It's kind of a joke that the best thing the Republicans have going for them is Democrats in Arizona. So I wonder if Katie Hobbs is going to be able to take advantage of some of this, and I wonder what she could be taking advantage of given the current political environment.
Well, I mean, you've got Andy Biggs, who voted against releasing the Epstein files before he voted to release them, and in Arizona, we do have to remember that there are 300,000 more Republicans than Democrats registered in Arizona. So the baseline is Republicans control everything. Mm-hmm. When we get wins, it is sort of an exception to the rule. But we have earned wins, even last cycle when Congressman Gallego won his race to the U.S. Senate. Now, Senator Gallego is sort of like a national example of how to do it. So I think the more people that follow sort of that template, the more successful we're going to be. And here in Arizona, I think, Governor Hobbs has a good record of what she's done over the last 3 years, and she's got an absolute lunatic opponent in Andy Biggs. And, the Republicans
It's funny to me, like, you haven't even mentioned David Schweikert or Karen Taylor Robson. You don't see them as a problem?
Honest to God, Dennis, I forgot that David Schweikert was running for governor. I did. I knew he wasn't running for Congress. I forgot that he wasn't running for governor.
That's brutal because Schweikert's spending a lot of money on ads right now. Apparently, ads you're not seeing.
I'm not. Maybe I need to get on Breitbart to get some of those display ads. But yeah, and I'm not saying that Schweikert wouldn't be their best general election candidate.
I've heard arguments that he actually would be.
He probably, he and KTR probably certainly appeal more than Biggs. I mean, it's a low bar, but no, I think Governor Hobbs has a track record. She has not been a flaming lefty. She has worked with the Republicans a lot. So much so that she occasionally has problems with her own base. But God, that's what a statewide elected official that's a Democrat in Arizona probably needs to be doing. So she has done nothing to get unelected, and she is running probably against Andy Biggs, somebody who is far to the right, even by Arizona standards. And this is, Carrie Lake 2.0. Or 3.0, actually. So, I was very upset that Carrie Lake decided not to run for election again, because I think she is probably the MVP of Democrats in Arizona. But I think that Biggs is a pretty close second.
Well, let's wrap on this. We're getting a little long here. I want to wrap on this. Trump this past week was not pleased with a 90-second video that 6 Democrats, including Mark Kelly, they were all veterans or members of the intelligence community, were urging members of the military, or not urging them, urging them and reminding them that they do not have to obey an unlawful or illegal order. Now, all this comes in the context of Trump federalizing National Guard troops, sending them to cities across the country, putting what some people believe is in very tough positions. So they made this video. Trump sees this, a couple days later, and then just goes off on it on Thursday morning, and says that they should be tried for sedition. This is Mark Kelly and those other Democrats, tried for sedition and possibly face the death penalty. Your thoughts?
My father is a decorated combat veteran from Vietnam, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, led his platoon, volunteered for Barry Goldwater as a kid, voted for Nixon twice, voted for Reagan twice. He has never been more pissed at a president than he is right now over what he has done to these members, including Senator Kelly. It's really, really. It's testing the limits of what he can get away with a certain segment of his supporters. There are the fact that he arguably dodged the draft, speaking of Vietnam, has not done much to erode his support with veterans and with members of the military. This is different, though. This is a next level. And the people who say, oh, it's just spicy rhetoric, or when it's sexual, it's just locker room talk or whatever. He continues to push the envelope, and this is disgusting. It is way too far. This is not just rhetoric, and they tried to walk it back, but good luck. He's picking the wrong fights with the wrong people. And as somebody who never served, has no idea about the sacrifice that these people actually make, it's pretty disgusting what he's saying.
Yeah, bone spurs are tough, man.
Yeah, it was his personal Vietnam, right? Yeah.
I believe that, bone spurs. But let's, is this going to have any backlash other than just it's going to fill the news cycle for a few days, or do you think it has any longer term implication? Because it kind of reminds me of when he came out and slammed McCain for not being a war hero because he was captured.
Right, and that didn't lose him the votes that and people kind of scratched their heads. I think if this had happened a year ago or a few months ago, we could probably put it in that category, but this is coinciding with all these other losses that he's taking. And as Republicans are starting to get permission to break away from Trump and the administration, this is not the time he wants to be saying things that could, further erode support, not just from members of the Senate and the House, but also from his own base of supporters. So he should be more cautious about what he says, particularly right now when he is losing friends fast. But he won't, because he can't control himself. He can't help himself.
All right. I think we'll end it there. But I do want to close with one. Hey, Colin, I don't think we have a podcast next week or for Thanksgiving.
No, we do not.
Okay, so we don't have a podcast. So we're going to be heading into the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. I want to ask you this question. How early can you start decorating for Christmas? And if you start decorating for Christmas after Halloween, is there something wrong with you?
I don't think there's anything wrong with you. I think you're just a real big fan. You're probably also a Disney adult, and as a Disney adult myself, I can kind of defend those people. Here's what I'll say: we're putting ours up on Saturday because I've got a 3-year-old who is all about Santa Claus right now.
Okay,
and so we're going to go on Saturday. I think traditionally, day after Thanksgiving makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of good football on the TV, putting up, decorating makes a lot of sense. But with kids, and especially, I can understand. I think there's way too much hate about what about Thanksgiving? Why aren't we decorating? Because we never decorate for Thanksgiving. There are no Thanksgiving carols. Like, of course, you got to queue up Mariah Carey on November 1st. It's other than the Adam Sandler song. There's not a lot of Thanksgiving material to go with. So I've got zero problem. It's sort of like people who get a little too anti-pumpkin spice latte. Touch grass. Calm down. There are bigger problems.
Yeah.
One of them is in the White House.
Well, I really made a commitment this year to try to be more festive, or as I was telling everybody, I need to be a little bit more effing festive.
What are your decorations, by the way?
My decorations?
I'm picturing like a Joey Ramone doing Christmas would be.
My decorations are nothing. It's been years since I bought a tree, Adam.
Oh, okay.
This is why I was saying I was dedicated. Like, this year, buying a damn tree. I'm going to be fucking festive, man. And, I don't know how to do it.
It's also a great distraction. Like, I'm not to actually give a serious answer to this question, but it's a really good distraction for people who are really, really depressed about the state of the world and our country. So, if that's what it takes, more power to you.
I might try to get Joan, my dog, the Joan of Bark, some reindeer antlers.
Those are cute.
Those are adorable.
Yeah, those are good.
I just, I'm just trying to figure it out, man, because I got to get more festive this year. It's been years.
Do you get into the music? Because I'll tell you, throwing on the right Christmas movie or the right Christmas album, popping a bottle of something, it makes for a decent afternoon.
Even my favorite Christmas movie is, Trading Places. It's not the most festive movie, but it's a great Christmas movie.
So yeah, up there with Die Hard, absolutely.
I'm not into the 80s. I'm into 80s action for irony.
Oh, okay. So First Blood Part 2.
Yeah, it's stuff like it because we could have an offline conversation. I have spent way too much time overthinking.
Maybe we should do a podcast for next week.
Overthinking 80s action movies, because I think in large part it's responsible for a lot of conservative attitudes, particularly towards law enforcement and government. Because you talk about Die Hard, for example, right?
Yeah.
Who is besides the terrorists? Who's the second enemy in that movie? The FBI.
FBI, yeah.
The FBI always comes. You look at the
Special Agent Johnson and Special Agent Johnson, no relation.
Yeah, you look at the Dirty Harry movies. They're all based on what?
Well, okay,
government bureaucracy getting in the way.
I agree with you. This is what the left might call propaganda. But then let's take that. Who was the biggest enemy of those 80s action films that we grew up with? The commies, the Ruskies. And now those same folks we're all pro-Russia all of a sudden? What?
Yeah, I know. But I'm just like, look, Demolition Man. Freaking Demolition Man. The whole idea about this, the whole idea is what'll happen, the right argument is what will happen if you outlaw guns, then only outlaws will have guns. That is the premise of that movie.
It's great when super cheesy films, Starship Troopers is another great example, are actually incredibly subversive and have a ton of political context behind them. I love movies like that. Demolition Man's a great example. Yeah.
All right. With that said, speaking of movies, I will be going to see Sisu 2 this weekend. If you haven't seen Sisu 1, so much fun. Just good, pure, fun action. But probably not for your 3-year-old.
No, I think we're gonna keep her home. I think we're trying to get her excited for the Moana live action movie next year. That might be her first movie.
All right. Adam, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for stopping by here. Enjoy your holiday, you and your family. I hope it's a great one, man. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
And welcome back to the second half of the Politics Unplugged podcast. Colin Stanton, producer extraordinaire. How the hell are you, man?
I'm good.
I'm in a goofy
Always
mood.
A pleasure.
I'm in a goofy mood,
yeah.
man. I can't talk about Epstein anymore, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you before we started, like,
Just
do you
can't-
have any thoughts that you have not shared this week? Because I can't imagine there's anything left.
Do you? Do you have any more thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, my chief thought is it's crazy to see the lengths people have gone to protect a guy. From a party that ran so much on fighting child trafficking and fighting sex trafficking and this and that, we have Mike Johnson, who, as you may recall, as I recall, doesn't he have his son monitor his own internet usage to make sure he's staying pure on the internet?
That is among one of the weirdest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of bizarre to have a buddy like that. And like, look, fucking Google it if you don't know what we're talking about, okay? But like, it's weird just to if you had a buddy to do that.
Yeah.
But to pick your son,
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah, and he's doing the same thing with the kid. They're monitoring each other's internet usage to make sure there's nothing impure about anything they're doing. That's the guy who's been running interference in the House to keep them from doing a vote on the Epstein files. It's just preposterous.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
Mike Epstein,
Mike.
Mike Johnson, the epitome of like the holier than thou guy, being the guy who has to run interference to all this is just amazing.
And he does it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's like it just reminds me like before Trump took office the first time, he was seen having dinner with like Chris Christie or something like that, and Chris Christie was talking about the dinner, and apparently Trump made him eat the meatloaf because like Christie was wanting to order steak or something, whatever Chris Christie you would imagine him eating is. I think he wanted, and Trump made him eat the meatloaf. And to me, it was always just a perfect metaphor for him because he's like, to be in his good side, it's like, you're just going to eat the fucking meatloaf.
Yeah.
I tell you to eat the meatloaf, you eat the meatloaf.
Yeah.
And that's Mike Johnson is just sitting in Congress, just eating the meatloaf, man.
Yeah. And I've got to think before long, a lot of people are going to be struggling. Why did I eat the meatloaf? I didn't want meatloaf.
I didn't want meatloaf. But there's Mike Johnson eating the fucking meatloaf, man. Hope he enjoys it.
Yeah. Enjoy that meatloaf. And there's also something just absurd about the fact that the people who turned on Trump on the Epstein issue and would not bend and guaranteed that the release vote would go through were Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, they're true believers.
Yeah. And they realize,
They're true believers in that stuff.
if your career path long term is personality on right-wing media and Twitter, that you have to stay on the outrage side of this issue.
Well, yeah, and if you still want to maintain that outsider moniker, that want to still maintain the outsider street cred on the streets of Washington or wherever the hell you're from.
Yeah.
Why not go after Trump at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, Trump is the insider. He is the establishment.
Yes.
You could be seen maybe as the ultimate outsider at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Been a weird few days.
It's been a weird few days. And I think another story that took up a lot of oxygen this, at the end of the week was Trump just picking a fight with a handful of Democrats, including Senator Mark Kelly.
Yeah.
They'd cut a video urging, reminding, members of the military that they don't have to follow an unlawful, illegal order. Man, Trump just went off on this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because as a juxtaposition, you've got 6 Democrats, all military veterans, or at least from the intelligence community, versus Donald Trump, who's notorious for his bone spurs.
Yes.
To avoid the draft
Yes.
in Vietnam.
Right. He lived through his own Vietnam in the 70s.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, like, my father was a Vietnam vet. God bless all the guys who served there. But, like, man, that was a bullshit war, and I don't begrudge anybody who did whatever they needed to do to avoid that.
Right.
Because I'm not I'm not going to sit here and say like I wouldn't have done that. Who the hell knows, man?
Yes.
But
agreed with all that. But if you're in that position, you're probably
yes.
not the one to lecture those who chose to serve.
Exactly, and I'm not going to,
serve.
right? Yeah, and I'm not going to,
Yeah.
and it's just ultimate respect for people who have served because they, I didn't, and I just truly do respect that. But for Trump to be the one that's out there is saying this is sedition, it's like, oof.
Yeah. It is sedition to suggest that people who are sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States should not do things that violate the Constitution of the United States.
Well, and God, useless fact I learned this week, or not useless, take it for what it is. Sedition doesn't carry the death penalty.
No, it does not.
No, treason does.
Yeah.
Not sedition.
Yeah.
He didn't even get that straight.
Yeah. No.
But then, Mark Kelly too, and you didn't need a reminder, but he comes out and reminds everybody anyway to make a really strong case and a really strong point. He says, like, look, my wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, was a victim of political violence. Your words matter.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't we just come out of a national conversation over political violence after the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What happened to that?
Yeah, there wasn't much of a conversation there.
Okay.
The conversation was mostly Republican leaders saying that Democrats are terrible and stop being violent.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's not a conversation. Democrats are like, kind of been going both ways.
Mm. Yeah.
And then Republicans insisting it hasn't gone both ways.
No, I am really happy this week is ending because it's just been a gross week.
Yeah.
Because doing the Epstein stuff and then they cap that with the calling for people to be hanged and stuff like that. A guy again, Meatloaf Mike, this House Speaker over there, is defending. He had defended Trump's actions or his comments on that.
Yeah.
The White House is defending that. It's just.
I mean, Trump could call for Mike Johnson to be hanged, and Mike Johnson will come out and say, I should be hanged.
Where's the meatloaf?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be his last meal.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm still just reeling that you don't have a Christmas tree and haven't had one for years.
Yeah, man, I'm the worst. I'm an animal.
Yeah.
I'm an animal.
No.
But all I'll say is, look, Joan's getting some reindeer antlers because I'm going to be festive. And I promise you, this weekend, I am going to get a Christmas tree.
Okay.
It'll be a fake one.
Yeah. No, you can't do real here.
No.
Real's ridiculous.
I will get a Christmas tree, and we'll post this somewhere. I'll bring in a picture.
Okay.
Next time. I don't know if we're doing proof of festive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know where to post it because we don't do Twitter anymore.
Yeah.
And then we tried to do Blue Sky and then just sort of went, what are we doing?
It's just they're just awful for different reasons.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Instagram.
Maybe we should just need to create a Politics Unplugged Instagram account.
Yeah, except that Instagram used to be really safe space for social media stuff. You post pictures of your dog, your friends, your family, whatever. But now it's more and more just TikTok videos are popping up there.
Yeah.
That's just all political.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't get much of the political stuff there. But I get all the dumb videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we tried, I grew up in Southern California, and then I was in Oregon, and, I was in Eugene for 10 years, and that's where all the tree farms are. So I'd buy a live tree, and it would be like $10, and it would be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved here and bought a live tree, or bought a tree.
It's $50.
A real tree.
Yeah, it's $50, and it's almost dead.
Yeah, that was a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it was $50, $60, $70, and it was dead 3 weeks before Christmas.
Oh, good Lord.
So, yeah, I'd always sworn, we'd never do a fake tree. Yeah, we've been doing a fake tree for 30 years. If you want the smell, hang one of those little tree air fresheners on it.
I'm going to buy a tree, and I might even throw a stocking on the wall.
Yeah,
a stocking
go for
or
it.
two.
Yeah. Get the pre-lit tree. Pre-lit fake tree.
Okay.
You don't want to deal with putting the lights on. The pre-lit one's the best.
All right. I'll do that. Any other words of advice? I wish this was like a call-in show. Just call in and give me some Christmas tree advice. Seriously, man, it's been years since I had a tree.
No, get a fake one. Get a nice looking, kind of thick fake one that's pre-lit. Okay. You'll be fine.
All right. What about
do you have ornaments for it? Then you probably want to go kind of thick and not the type with a lot of spaces, because if you have the type of tree that has like a lot of space there, you feel like you need to kind of fill the space with ornaments. And if you don't have them, just the thicker tree would be better.
You know, I am a minimalist. That's not gonna go over well, is it? No. What about you? What's the Stanton family traditions?
I assume the tree will go up, a couple days after Thanksgiving.
So you're not one of those that like days after Halloween and get to business?
No, although if I borrow my wife's car in July, it's like 50-50 that when the radio starts up, it'll be the Charlie Brown Christmas music CD.
Really?
Yeah. Year round.
Wow.
Any given time that will be.
I felt bad. I felt like such a Grinch, and Adam's like, what's your favorite Christmas song? And I'm like, I don't have any.
We even did a list once. You had a few, I think.
The punk rock Christmas.
Yeah.
But
and my answer is always the same, always easy. It's Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues.
Yeah. But I think he was talking about like the Christmas music. Like he was bringing up Mariah Carey. And I'm like, I don't have any traditional.
I'm not doing the like Burl Ives shit. It's, the Pogues.
Yeah. No, Pogues, of course.
Yeah.
And there's a few other songs there, but like, there's traditional stuff. I'm like,
that's not my thing. Yeah, but no, we have we've got the lights, we've got a bunch of inflatables, we've got an inflatable that always goes up over the garage.
Okay. All right,
we do the thing.
All right. God, I don't know. Anything else before we get out of here, man?
No,
I am seriously just like worn the F out.
Yeah, no, it's been a week, and on top of all this, my other main job here is doing the On Your Side stuff, and Gary Harper, our On Your Side reporter, today's his last day. It's speaking on Friday. So when you hear this Sunday, Gary Harper is retired, getting ready to hit the beach in Florida.
Best of luck, Gary, man. Yeah. I do want to point this out. If we can, we can take the viewers or the listeners behind the scenes here. Normally I don't get much of a chance to eat, so sometimes I grab something to snack on real quick in a hurry in between the time we do the first segment and second segment of this show.
Yeah.
Would you care for a pickleball?
Jesus, no. No. Not even for the entertainment factor of me spitting it out on air. I'm not doing that.
These are like pickleballs, and I'm going to try that. It's pretty terrible.
I didn't know pickles had balls. That sounds horrible, man.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty. I'll give you the rest of the bag.
Yeah, you can. Trash can right there in the corner, man. That's not happening.
I was like, I bet you it's not that bad, because
I bet you it's
one of the producers in there's like, why did you do that? I'm like, all right, don't tempt me with a bad time.
Was it like a pickle Cheeto?
Yeah, it's like a Vlasic Cheeto.
No. No.
I ate a few of them, and like they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying now is that I still haven't eaten.
Okay.
And then I'm hangry.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. So.
Yeah, but I think the important thing to remember from the show is that we are wishing Gary Harper all the best of luck as he again moves onto the beaches of Florida, man.
Yeah.
I think he's
for a happy retirement.
He is going to love it down there.
He's looking forward to it.
Yeah. Best of luck. I know he won't be listening, but best of luck, Gary. That would be amazing.
Listen to this in the U-Haul out of town going, it's nice of him.
Could you be so stunned? Get a text message from him.
Yeah.
That was real nice of you guys to say. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I would not anticipate that, but that would be lovely.
Yeah.
So all the best to Gary.
All the best to
lovely
Gary.
Wife Cindy, happy for them. Enjoy retirement.
And all the best to how 3 on Your Side moves forward. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Me too.
All right, man. See ya.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, the Google Store, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. See you next time.